Sticky notes, email alerts, a string around your finger. They're just not big enough. So here's a big reminder from the California Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is over $300 million. Whew. Play now. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player flag.
13-8 at the A's. Seattle won its sixth straight game, a 10-inning win against Arizona 3-2, and Jacob Mizorowski and the Brewers won 2-0 at the Houston Astros.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here he goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football. Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
And welcome into a Monday edition here of the Deep South College Football Show on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports here. Big recruiting weekend on the campus of the University of Alabama as Alabama hosted its first official visit weekend of the summer. So we'll talk about that big recruiting pickup for the Crimson Tide in Gainesville High School running back Nigel Newkirk. So we'll talk about that here today on the program here. We'll also talk a little bit of deals going around across the world of college football. And what do we mean by that? We mean Brendan Sorsby, right? He had his first, not first, but his injunction hearing was today when you look at Brendan Sorsby there in his gambling scandal. So we'll kind of recap what happened with the gambling scandal, and we'll also talk about kind of what's going on, what may happen with Brendan Sorsby, whether he become eligible or he be deemed ineligible, trying to get this temporary injunction here. So we got Alabama recruiting, we got Brendan Sorsby, and we'll dip into the diamond sports as well as Alabama baseball and Alabama softball advanced in the World Series or in their respective tournaments here. So we'll talk about that today here on the program. Bama baseball goes 3-0 in the Tuscaloosa Regional over the weekend, meaning that they will now host the Tuscaloosa Super Regional, meaning that the Crimson Tide baseball team will be playing at home. They are 3 wins away from their first trip to Omaha, Nebraska for the College World Series, 3 wins away from their first trip since 1999 here. So big weekend on the campus of the University of Alabama in support of baseball and softball recruiting as well. So it's been a lot of fun, but it's been kind of rowdy here around Tuscaloosa. We got Chase and/or Jackson and Norris hanging out with us in the studio. Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Doing well. Can't complain. It's super hot out.
It's hot. I got all black.
Yeah.
The sun's killing me right now, but I'm still good.
It's hot as all get out there. So everybody please be safe. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and hydrating. But yes, so over the weekend, Alabama picked up a massive running back here in Gainesville High School running back Nigel Newkirk here. You look at Newkirk as we'll kind of show some of his highlights here. Really good runner of the football. He's got really great burst. He's able to make some cuts that you want to see a running back make, right? And so a lot of really good things from Newkirk. He is a composite 4-star on the Rivals Industry rankings and the 247 composite rankings here when you look at Nigel Newkirk. However, he is graded as a 3-star according to most of the sites, right? So according to 247 Sports official rankings for their model, he is a 3-star. So, but even still, Gainesville High School running back here, as you see, he also has experience on kick returns here. Wow, he's got some great speed there when you look at Gainesville High School running back Nigel Newkirk. We put a story out on Tide100.9.com yesterday as he announced his commitment. 5'11", 185-pound running back here. As a junior last season, 1,400 yards and 19 rushing touchdowns with 8.1 yards per carry over 14 games last season. So, Jackson, when you look at Newkirk here, you kind of hear the stats. You're seeing kind of some of the highlight tape there. This is a really good pickup for Alabama. And again, he may not be the highest rated running back. He may not be that quote unquote number one guy, but he's got really good burst. He's got a little bit of power to him as well, and he's got some wiggle. So I think you really can be excited about Nigel Newkirk if you're an Alabama fan.
Yeah, and it seems like he has good vision, too. I mean, as long as you're bringing him in here, he definitely has the potential if you're developing him properly, which I don't see why we wouldn't, to be, a great back here at the University of Alabama.
Yeah, he looks like he's somebody that can be a big-time weapon here for the Crimson Tide here. When you look at Nigel Newkirk, these highlights are coming off of Huddle here as well. But, I mean, yeah, you look at it here, he'll take that handoff and got really good space, but able to break a couple of tackles, get into the open field, and that's something that Alabama needs in its running back room, right? We've talked about running backs before here at the University of Alabama, and look, we love Jam Miller. We love everything he did for Alabama. I mean, he was, instrumental in several wins for the Tide this season. When you look at catching the fourth down to secure the victory over Georgia, 100-yard performance against Vanderbilt, and he was kind of the catalyst of the offense in that Missouri game before he did go out with an injury. But it felt like Jam Miller left a little bit to be desired, not in the idea that he's not talented, but simply because, hey, he wasn't always on the field. He wasn't fully healthy, and that was a big issue for Alabama's run game last season was, hey, guys are just banged up. Guys are injured. Pass protection, as you see on that rep there, great pass pro rep from Nigel Newkirk there. But pass pro was a big issue for Alabama last season, and so obviously, you don't want to talk down on a guy, but Jam Miller left a little bit to be desired. I think the rest of that running back room left some stuff to be desired as well. Daniel Hill, maybe not quite having the speed and the burst that you maybe expected him to have there, but you also had guys that probably needed to step up and make plays, and they just ultimately didn't for Alabama last season. But looking at Newkirk here, this is a really good highlight tape. Again, everybody's highlight tape looks really, really good, but you like what you see if you're looking at Nigel Newkirk here. Out of Gainesville High School in Gainesville, Georgia, he was teammates with Jamarian Matthews and Xavier Griffin, two defenders that signed with Alabama in the 2026 recruiting class. They were a part of Gainesville High School, signed with Alabama, and now the running back here, Nigel Newkirk, is also joining the Crimson Tide. So big-time pickup, and it may not be the only one. There's a couple of other running backs out there that Alabama's involved with here. I know there's a guy out of South Carolina that I think Ty Phillips or something like that. I think he's somebody that Alabama's kind of keeping an eye on here as well when you look at this upcoming recruiting class. But Jackson, Alabama, we talked with Brett Greenberg on Friday, and he mentioned, hey, Newkirk's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if he does pull the trigger. Well, he does pull the trigger. He's now committed to Alabama, was originally setting his commitment date for July 1st, but he told Andrew Bowen of On3 Sports after the commitment, hey, I was going to drag this thing out, but after this visit to Tuscaloosa, there was really no reason to drag it out. This visit felt different here for the University of Alabama. So big-time pickup in Nigel Newkirk. What does that mean for the rest of the guys, though, that were on this visit? We've already heard it from a couple of them saying, hey, this visit was different. There was something different about this weekend at the University of Alabama. So you had two commits on campus already, in Avery and Pauly and Kenneth Simon II. You got a third commitment out of this weekend, but there were some big fish here as well. Monshin Sales, the big 5-star wide receiver, number one in the class. Osani Gales, a top 10 wide receiver, was also on campus. You also had Hayden Stepp, a top 10 corner in the class as well. Mitchell Turner and Antoine Jackson, two guys on the defensive line that Alabama's really, really high on. Jackson, do you think we see another commitment here? Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but do you think Alabama maybe locked up a couple of other guys here on this weekend?
I think it's highly likely. I mean, you don't really hear what they're saying about this visit. You don't really hear that it felt different, and then you get three commitments right out of the gate. It seems to me that means that they either showed them something that they really liked or just really liked, the way the team felt, the coaches, what they were, what the culture is here at Alabama. And I think that it wouldn't be surprising to see one, maybe two, maybe even three more of those guys that were on campus this weekend make their official commitment.
You'd love to see some more official commitments for Alabama. And again, we talked with Brett Greenberg, Bama 247 last Friday. Probably going to have him on again this week as it is official visit season in college football. And Alabama's got several guys that they're trying to lock down. They're trying to get these guys back in here for their final decisions here. But when you look at it, I think there's probably some more guys Alabama's going to be interested in. We'll try and get Brett on again here pretty soon to keep talking official visits, recruiting season, and all that stuff. But we've talked about it before. maybe a smaller recruiting class this cycle. I don't know how small it's going to be. I don't think it's not going to be, the 25 kids that Alabama's taken the last couple of seasons here, but could it be as small as 12? And if that's the case, Alabama's got 7 already committed. If they're as small as 12, there's a chance, recruiting season's wrapped up before we even get to the 4th of July, much less some of these commitments taking their time and maybe rolling on into the month of April there. But looking at it here, a couple of big commits for Alabama. Nigel Newkirk, the latest one out of Gainesville High School. Hopefully, Alabama, if you're an Alabama fan, you hope the Crimson Tide can continue their progress. They can continue this hot momentum on the recruiting trail. Jackson, did you see any of the pictures coming out of the recruiting weekend?
I did not.
They've got a really neat backdrop. So first off here, I am going to show the video, or I'm going to show the picture of what Kenneth Simon was doing on his official visit here, because he's already committed to Alabama. We know what Kenneth Simon is, phenomenal ball player, but I mean, just showed the athleticism here. This was Kenneth Simon during his official visit, mid backflip, basically, out here with all the hardware, the college football playoff national championship trophies. Alabama, the only school with 3 of those, as well as 3 of the 4 Heisman trophies that the University of Alabama's got. Just a lot of really talented kids that are visiting Alabama right now. Avery and Pauly, we mentioned him. Look at that, man. I mean, what other schools got that kind of hardware that you can just showcase? Nobody else has got that kind of hardware. I mean, you got schools out here that are still using the BCS National Championship Trophy, the Crystal Ball. And don't get me wrong, the Crystal Ball was, in my opinion, the best national championship trophy we've had. But when you're able to go out here and say, hey, yeah, Crystal Ball was cool, but that team hadn't won one since the BCS era. That team has not won a national championship since, 2013, Florida State. Whereas Alabama can come out and say, yeah, we got 3 of the shiny gold ones here. We got 4 Heisman trophies, 4 of these bronze Heisman trophies here. So really, really cool to get to see here. And then Monson Sales, the big wide receiver there, could he be calling home, saying, hey, I'm home, I'm here? We'll see. I think he's got another unofficial visit to Indiana scheduled here a little bit later down the pipeline. And then I know he's got an official visit to Texas scheduled a little bit later as well this summer. So if Alabama can land him, that's a massive, massive addition for the Crimson Tide. And we know what Alabama likes to do with wide receivers, that we know that Alabama can have a plethora of talent in that wide receiver room. Hey, we're going to keep talking Alabama here on the other side of this break as baseball and softball advance in their respective tournaments. We'll talk about Alabama baseball and what they were able to do over the weekend. And then don't forget, Alabama softball will be playing tonight in the semifinals of the Women's College World Series. We'll get you ready for that game against Texas Tech here on the Deep South College Football Show. Taking a little bit of a break from talking college football. We'll talk high school sports. We'll talk, baseball and softball, but we will dive back into college football because Brendan Sorsby's hearing was today. So what's coming out of Love?
Sticky notes, email alerts, a string around your finger. They're just not big enough. So here's a big reminder from the California Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is over $300 million. Whew. Play now. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player fine.
That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. A disturbance dropping down across the Tennessee Valley is going to bump up our shower and thunderstorm chances here this afternoon. Locally heavy downpours and some strong winds in some of those storms. 91, 71 tonight. We keep a storm chance going into the day tomorrow. High tomorrow 85. Drier times ahead for midweek with sunshine. Wednesday's high 81. Richard DeWetting at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media Tuscaloosa.
It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, y'all. This is Alabama offensive lineman William Sanders, and you're listening to Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show. Taking just a very brief pause from the world of college football as the Diamond Sports, Fourth University of Alabama, both got some massive wins over the weekend here. You look at Alabama baseball, and they go 3-0 here in the Tuscaloosa Regional. And Jackson, it got a little scary at times here for the University of Alabama, but the Crimson Tide was able to pull things off here when you look at being in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, last night's game alone was pretty nail-biting up there until, the top of the 11th when Brady Neal hits that home run.
Yeah. Transfer, facing a 1-2 count.
Yeah, just a utter bomb by Brady Neal there.
And it's exactly what they needed. And then we came back out, got bases loaded, 2 outs, tried to make it another inning or two, but luckily we got that third strike and we got out of there with a win.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking there. That entire game, I mean, we were covering that game. Simon Besnoy, Micah Nichols for Tide 100.9 for us there, covering that game. But what a night it was for Alabama. And they played games prior to that. They took on Alabama State in the first game on Friday night. So I wasn't at that game. I was at a comedy show in Birmingham, and Simon had texted me and said, "Hey, we're gonna publish the game story, as soon as this game's ready, as soon as this game's over." So I said, "All right, cool, whatever, no big deal." I get out of the show, didn't check my phone during the show because I knew Simon and Micah had everything covered for us. Saw the score and immediately texted them both and said, "Hey, what the hell's going on? 21-3? Are you kidding? Like, save some of these runs, man." But Alabama, big time victory on Friday night over Alabama State. Saturday, stupid situation with the weather. I was there on Saturday. We went into a rain delay for the start of the game. So didn't start the game on time because of a weather delay. And then you turn around, no rain for the hour and 13 minutes that we were sitting there waiting. And then Alabama baseball gets out there. Eric Hines hits an absolute just moonball, drills that thing as Alabama takes down USC Upstate 7-5. Jackson, this team is 3 wins away from their first trip to Omaha since 1999. Do we think they can get it done? Because they're going to play the winner of Florida State and St. John's. They're playing today in Game 7 of the Tallahassee Regional. The winner of that game will come to Tuscaloosa for the Super Regional here. First time Alabama's hosted Supers since 2006. But we saw some cracks in the Crimson Tide's armor this past weekend. 6 errors in that win against SC Upstate. You had multiple fielding errors. You got put in bases loaded situations way too many times. Solo shots from Oklahoma State. And now that you're in the Supers, we know because we've watched it happen before. You're playing teams that can put runs up. You're playing a lot of different ball clubs that, hey, they know how to hit. And they probably are not making many fielding errors. So, do we think Alabama can get it done? We don't yet know who the Tide will play, but do we know what Alabama can, or do we think Alabama can get the job done and make a trip to Omaha, Nebraska?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen plenty of, upsets in this regional tournament. I mean, UCLA is no longer in the tournament anymore. Auburn,
top overall seed, UCLA gone.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely possible. It definitely will be harder. I mean, I think our offense can definitely hang. For me, it's just about the pitching. I think a lot of ups and downs. I mean, you've used a ton of your arms already with these 3 games, and especially last night's game. But
I say your reliever, Hagan Banks, had to throw 60 pitches. That's not what you want to see from a guy like that.
Exactly. And so, I mean, you get a few days rest, but then you're right back in the thick of it. And I think who else is in our super regional? Mississippi State, right?
As of right now, it is Alabama. They will take on the winner of Florida State and St. John's here, who, by the way, they are currently playing. In the top of the 7th inning, St. John's leads Florida State 5-2. So whoever wins that game is coming to Tuscaloosa in a best of 3. So even though you used a ton of your arms this past weekend, but all 3 of Tyler Fay, Zane Adams, and Miles Upchurch started these games. I know Hagan Banks and a couple of the other relievers had to come in for extended pitches in the weekend over the weekend. But now you get the week off. You basically can just go back to your weekend rotation that you've had all year long. Tyler Fay on Friday night, Zane Adams on Saturday, and Miles Upchurch if a game 3 is necessary.
Right, which is good. So it'll definitely be, a tall task. Can they do it? I think so. But, this is, like you said, the first super regional since 2023. A lot of these guys haven't, been here in this position. Some have, but I mean, you're going to have to rely on more big moments like that from Brady Neal in order to get it done. Eric Hines, Justin LeBron. So, did you use up all your magic to get there? I don't know, but we'll see.
I do want to ask this question. We'll take a break after we kind of have this little conversation here. Does Rob Vaughn have the ability to make the Omaha trip? And what I mean by that is we're a college football show. We've been covering college baseball all year long, but baseball is not my number one sport. Let me go ahead and put that out there in case people get mad at this conversation here. It is not my number one sport that I know that I cover on a day-to-day basis here. But can Rob Vaughn get the job done? And what I mean by that question is, coming into the Tuscaloosa Regional this year, he had one postseason win, and it was a very, very tightly contested win over Missouri in the SEC championship or SEC tournament last season. Alabama was previously winless in the NCAA tournament under Rob Vaughn, entering the Tuscaloosa Regional 0-4. So you've got a 3-4 record. You've never been in this spot. And we always say, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations. That's what Alabama did in the Tuscaloosa Regional. But at what moment do we start to get a little worried? All right, this is a really big moment. These guys are not experienced in this spot here. Do we think that moment hits this weekend? We saw the crowd not really get too involved with the rain delays and things like that. So can Alabama make it out of the Tuscaloosa Super Regional? Or do you think we've kind of hit the ceiling of where Rob Vaughn and Alabama are going to be this season? A good foundation in year number 3, but now you're going to be expecting a little bit more in year 4, year 5 as this continues to go on with Rob Vaughn. So is the moment going to be too big? Or do you think Alabama's kind of figured things out and they're getting ready to make a big run here and potentially a trip to Omaha?
I don't think the moment will be too big because, last night was a huge moment and the biggest moment that any of these players have ever faced, and they took that head on and got us into the Super Regional. So I don't think in terms of the moment it'll be too big, but I think, in terms of coaching decisions, pitching decisions in game, I think that's where it'll be, you'll see maybe those cracks, maybe you'll see, some changes in pitching during the game that might scratch your head a little bit. You might not, but I think that's where it'll happen. I don't think it'll be coming from the moments and whether or not they can step up and meet them. But you also have to be granted those moments as well. So if you're down, 6-0 in the 8th inning, you gotta do it. You're limited in what you can do from there.
That's fair. Yeah, I think a big thing this weekend is going to be, hey, when do you let Tyler Fay, Zane Adams, Miles Upchurch, do you let them kind of work through if they're struggling, or do you say, nope, get him the heck out of there? We need to get somebody else in here because season's on the line. The next time Alabama loses 2 games is the next time Alabama is done here in the 2026 college baseball season, which I will say has been a very successful year for Alabama. I think they've laid the groundwork. They've laid the foundation. They've got a really good thing going right now with Rob Vaughn over there at the Joe. But Bama Athletic Director Greg Byrne, he's done a really good job of being really, really competitive in every sport, not just football, not just men's basketball, but now gymnastics, baseball, softball is back at the level that it needs to be. And we'll talk about softball here on the other side as they take on Texas Tech tonight in the semifinals of the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We'll talk about the ladies here.
Sticky notes, email alerts, a string around your finger. They're just not big enough. So here's a big reminder from the California Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is over $300 million. Whew. Play now. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player flag.
That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Roll Tide. The best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Talked a little baseball in the last segment. Let's talk a little bit about Alabama softball here, as Alabama softball will take on Texas Tech tonight in the semifinals of the Women's College World Series here. Texas Tech would have to beat the Crimson Tide twice to make the finals, whereas Alabama, if they can just get one win here tonight, then they're heading on to the finals, which would start on Wednesday. Alabama downs UCLA and Nebraska in their first two games here in Oklahoma City. And as you can see there, Jocelyn Brisky, she has had a hell of a couple of first games here for the University of Alabama. Jackson, do you think that they should go with Brisky tonight? And this isn't a do or die game. This game one is not do or die. Alabama can lose game one, but then they have to immediately turn around and play game two. So if you throw Brisky game one and you lose, you're, no disrespect to Vic Moten or Caitlin Palazzi, but you don't have your ace in that second game, which would be a do or die scenario at that point.
Right. I think it would be best. You know, I'm not Patrick Murphy. I'm not a softball coach, but I do think maybe save Brisky for, you know, if you do have to play that second game, and if not, she's fresh for, you know, the finals. So I think that's how they should play it. But, you know, again, I'm not Coach Murphy.
Yeah, I don't make all that money to make these decisions here. She's been phenomenal here. She's pitched multiple complete games there. Hasn't really allowed many hits. They coming into the Women's College World Series, they had allowed one run. That was to LSU in the Super Regionals here. And a large part of that has been due to what Jocelyn Brisky brings to the table. She's one of the best pitchers in college softball. You know, everybody's talked about, you know, the hitters at UCLA, their 2 and 3 hole spot in that batting lineup. Number 2 was the country's leader in home runs. Number 3 was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Nebraska, they had the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. And yet, despite all of that, in all these duels, it's been Alabama coming out on top here. Now, Texas Tech, the team that Alabama plays tonight, Jackson, we know they've got the most expensive roster in college softball. We know they're one of the best teams in college softball. They wouldn't be one of the last 4 teams standing in college softball if they didn't have the talent and the money that they did here. So really, really good matchup tonight between Alabama and Texas Tech. You can listen to the game on our sister station, Catfish 100.1. Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson on the call there for the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Airtime 5:45. First pitch scheduled for 6 o'clock between Alabama and Texas Tech here this evening. There's another game going on, though. Prior to that matchup, Tennessee will take on Texas. 3 of the 4 teams remaining are SEC teams. Tennessee sits in the same spot that Alabama does, 2-0, which means that if Texas wants to make the finals, if Texas wants to kind of defend their national championship that they won last season, they got to beat Tennessee twice today and then take on one of Alabama or Texas Tech. And I don't want to look ahead, right? You always want to look at the next opponent on the schedule. And for Alabama, that is Texas Tech. But if you do start to look ahead at Tennessee or Texas in the Women's College World Series finals for a national championship, Jackson, that's 2 teams that Alabama's really struggled with at points this season. They lost the series to Tennessee in the regular season. The only series Alabama lost in the regular season in softball was that Tennessee series. And then you turn around and you look at Texas, blew the doors off of you in game 1 of that series in the regular season at the Rhodes House. You did end up winning that series, but then you get to the SEC championship in the SEC tournament, and Texas blows the doors off you again. So you're 2-2 against Texas. You have a losing record to Tennessee this season. Jackson, those are the only 2 teams that I really look at, and I'm kind of worried because Alabama, you know, they're a national championship contender, without a doubt. They are undefeated in Oklahoma City right now. Probably just jinxed them by saying that, but undefeated in Oklahoma City right now when you look at Alabama softball. Are you worried? If they make it past Texas Tech, are you worried about the team on the other side there when you look at Tennessee or Texas?
I would only be worried if it was Tennessee, because we know we can hang and have been able to beat Texas. Tennessee is the only one that I struggle with, and I'm like, because it would be a huge, not only a huge game just in and of itself, but also that rivalry game as well, because it's Tennessee.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be so sweet that, Tennessee, they made such a big deal about smoking the cigars on the field after they beat Alabama in the regular season series. should Alabama win a national championship over Tennessee? Jackson, do we break out the cigars in Oklahoma City?
I think it's mandatory.
I think it is too. Matter of fact, if that is how it ends up playing, right? Alabama beats Texas Tech, Tennessee beats Texas, and then Alabama wins a national championship over Tennessee. Why don't we smoke cigars on the show? I don't know if we're allowed to do it in the studio here, but you know what? We'll do the show. We'll do the show outside. Maybe we'll go hit up Reagan and go do a show from the mansion over there at R&R Cigars and smoke a nice cigar in victory over Tennessee, because football gets to do it all the time. Basketball's gotten to do it the last couple of times. Softball didn't quite get the chance to do it. Baseball didn't quite get the chance to do it. But if you win a national championship, you got to celebrate it. And what better way to do it than, hitting up our buddy Reagan. Hey, we got Cotton hanging out with us here, checking us out on the X account. We appreciate you, Cotton. Appreciate you, brother. Talking a little Alabama Crimson Tide athletics here. This college softball season has been a lot of fun to get to talk about and get to cover, though. For those that don't know, we broadcast the Crimson Tide Sports Network call of Alabama softball for the first, 2 months of the season until April. We're the ones broadcasting and producing that for the Crimson Tide Sports Network. So we've really had a chance every single year to keep up with and pay attention to what's going on with Alabama softball. And Jackson, this team's just felt different, right? Patrick Murphy, we've seen him win a national championship in 2012. He literally took the Alabama softball program and built it from the ground up. Second head coach ever in Alabama softball history. Only coach to win a national championship in Alabama softball. Multiple, I think one time since winning that national championship, Alabama hasn't made the Supers. Alabama's known as a powerhouse in college softball. So we've seen Alabama in OKC, in the Supers, in the regionals. We've seen Alabama dominate the postseason. But this year's team feels a little bit different. I think one of the biggest criticisms of Patrick Murphy over the last 5 years or so is, hey, we got to get the hitting figured out, right? We've got the elite pitchers. We've had the Montana Fouls. We've had the elite pitchers, but you can't win a national championship 2-1 anymore, right? That's just not where college softball is anymore. The game has evolved to where you've got these sluggers, these power hitters that are coming out here, and that was one of the biggest criticisms. We've seen people on social media criticize and call out and damn near attack Patrick Murphy when you look at the way Alabama has gone about softball, has gone about its hitting philosophy. But now you've got Alexis Papillo. Now you've got Brooke Wells, who both have hit over 20 home runs this season for Alabama. First time in program history. It really starts to seem like they've gotten this thing figured out when you look at Alabama softball here. Hey, let's go ahead and jump out on the phone lines. We got a couple of callers hanging out with us here. Let's go ahead and start here with Jeff in Tennessee. Jeff, how you doing? Hey, Jeff, you there with us? Going once, going twice. We'll throw you back on hold here and see if we can get you on the phone lines here, Jeff. Let's stick with the phone lines. Pat in Tuscaloosa has called us up. Pat, how you doing, man?
I'm doing just wonderful now that the great Drew DeOrman, who I think knows more about recruiting than most people have forgotten, says that we're not completely dead in the water with our illustrious wide receiver from the great state of Indiana, who actually
by way of the great state of Alabama.
Yeah, and that Alabama went a long way toward reminding him about why his home is in Alabama.
They did. I like the recruiting pitch. Go where your roots are. And they had pictures of him playing, 8U Pee Wee football here in the state of Alabama. I like that recruiting pitch. And did you see, Pat, also the pictures of Trent Seaborn and Elijah Haven saying, hey, we got, two of the best quarterbacks in the country already committed to us. I understand they're not here right now, but, we got this cat, Keelan Russell, is pretty good right now. We got Elijah Haven and Trent Seaborn coming in. Like, you're going to be playing with some high-level quarterbacks if you come to Tuscaloosa. Love the recruiting pitch they had this weekend. And, oh, by the way, Pat, it wasn't just for Monchin Sales. That recruiting pitch of the quarterbacks was there for Osani Gales, too. Another really good receiver.
Yeah. And hey, hats off to Trent stepping up at the Elite 11. Pouring it on in a 7-on-7. Pouring it on. 4 touchdowns. 4 of them, you hear me? in just 7 minutes to play 4 touchdowns. We're talking Jet Tamalo-ish, you know. I'm making a joke, man. Hey, but Jet did really well in that part of the Elite 11 too.
No, but you're right. I mean, I think it was, I may have the credit wrong here, so I do apologize if it is wrong, but I think it was Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama that said, you know, he talked to some of the coaches out there and they said, look, Trent Seaborn can diagnose football with the best of them. He's got some of the best mentals out there. And so the 7-on-7, the 11-on-11 stuff that they're going to be working on, or at the Elite 11, you know, being able to diagnose plays and routes and concepts and things like that. Trent Seaborn's up there with the best of them. And really and truly, I think Justin said that Trent's better than anybody else out there, or a coach said that Trent Seaborn's better than anybody else out there. So been a lot of fun to get to pay attention to what's going on at the Elite 11.
Sure. And that is like a man. Hey, life's better than it was last Friday when I didn't think we had a Chinaman's chance of getting that 6'6" quarterback. I mean 6'6" wide receiver. But hey, also coming in this weekend is going to be a 6'5" wide receiver out of Prattville, Alabama. That one Deshaun Hall. Hey, and I saw him in person. You hear me? Hey,
he's a dog.
He can run. He can cut. Hey, he's a bad man catching a football. And
that he is. And look, I mean, even if you don't land Monson Sales, which Pat, by the way, Courtney Morgan said in an interview as well. Like, Alabama doesn't have all the money in the world. We know that. We know that Alabama's not. You know, they're not Texas. They're not Oregon. We know Alabama doesn't have all the money in the world. But they're not even going to entertain kids that Alabama's just nowhere even near the ballpark of. So the fact that we know that now about Alabama, and Monson Sales was still coming and taking this visit, we know Alabama can be relatively in the ballpark. Now, are they going to offer the most money? No, it's probably going to be Texas or Indiana, two of his top 3 schools, it seems like. But Alabama's in the ballpark. He took the official visit. We'll see what happens from there. I like the fact that Alabama's at least in the ballpark for a guy like Monson Sales. But like you mentioned, Deshaun Hall, that's a pretty damn good wide receiver. Amari Saab, the younger brother of Keon and Xavier Saab, he's another guy that Alabama's kind of Xavier Saab is the youngest brother, another wide receiver there. Younger brother of Amari and Keon, who are both already in Tuscaloosa. This is a very familiar recruiting pitch for the Saab family because they had to do it with Keon. When Keon was transferring from Michigan, they landed Amari, and now they're going to be hearing it again with Xavier Saab. So hopefully you can get kind of the family connection and get all 3 of those guys in Tuscaloosa.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to touch base with you that I figured you had a good weekend, and with Alabama softball tearing it up, and baseball we're getting a chance to see some really good baseball in Tuscaloosa. I hope the fans will come out and support them and buy a hot dog.
Absolutely. Great baseball happening in Tuscaloosa. You'll get more great baseball this weekend as Alabama is hosting Super Regionals for the first time since 2006. Pat, Ryan Coleman Williams wasn't alive the last time Alabama hosted Super Regionals. That's how long it's been.
That's a long time, yeah. All right, Ryan's I think he's going to have a special year too. Let's hope so.
I think so, Pat. We appreciate you, brother. That's Pat in Tuscaloosa joining us via the phone lines right there. We'll go ahead and wrap up the loose ends on the other side as we'll dive back into college football. Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby had his hearing today in Lubbock, Texas. Not a Texas Tech judge. That guy recused himself. I don't know the affiliation of the new judge, but I think they were either TCU or Baylor is where they got their degrees from. So no friendly judge, therefore, Brendan Sorsby. What does it mean for his case? We'll talk about it and wrap up the loose ends, get you ready for the game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Now, this hour's West Alabama Real real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Alabama Crimson Tide's baseball team and softball team will continue their super hot postseasons after big weekend wins. The baseball team overcame Oklahoma State with a 3-run homer in the 11th inning late last night and will now host either St. John's or Florida State in super regionals this week. The softball team, meanwhile, is headed to the Women's College World Series after snapping Nebraska's 27-game win streak on Saturday. Alabama will face Texas Tech at 6 p.m. tonight. For the details on these stories and more, get connected at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we're going to recap Alabama baseball. We'll recap some Alabama softball. We'll do it with Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Martin Houston and Josh from College Football Nerds, all on the Monday edition of The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to...
Sticky notes, email alerts, a string around your finger. They're just not big enough. So here's a big reminder from the California Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is over $300 million. Whew. Play now. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player flag.
29. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. A disturbance dropping down across the Tennessee Valley is going to bump up our shower and thunderstorm chances here this afternoon. Locally heavy downpours and some strong winds in some of those storms. 91, 71 tonight. Keep a storm chance going into the day tomorrow. High tomorrow 85. Drier times ahead for midweek with sunshine. Wednesday's high 81. Richard Wedding at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media Tuscaloosa.
It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
College football talk as Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby had his initial hearing today for a preliminary injunction against the NCAA. What does that mean? If you remember the Charles Bediako case here, a preliminary injunction, if granted, would allow Brendan Sorsby to play for Texas Tech. His attorney has requested a ruling by June the 15th. So, Jackson, we got 2 more weeks to talk about Brendan Sorsby, at maximum 2 more weeks here to talk about Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby as he is fighting this case, this legal gambling case, or this gambling case here that he's got from his days at Indiana and Cincinnati. And now we know when he initially got to Texas Tech, he was placing wagers. He was sending money back to people outside of the state of Texas. If you don't know, sports gambling is illegal in Texas. So Brendan Sorsby was sending money to people outside of the state of Texas to continue gambling for him. Basically just a bookie type situation here. Jackson has got to be cut and dry. He's got to be ruled ineligible. This seems like the most obvious situation, and yet we're having to sit here and we're having to talk about it when it comes to Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby. He's got to be ineligible, right? There's no way you grant him any sort of eligibility waiver at this point.
No, I agree. And I think probably the best situation for him is to just enter his name in that NFL supplementary draft, because there will be plenty of teams that'll come after him.
Yeah, Pete Thamel of ESPN jumped on the Pat McAfee show last week to talk about it and said, hey, in the supplemental draft, you're looking at potentially a top 15 quarterback in the NFL with how good Brendan Sorsby, or at least the talent level of Brendan Sorsby is. So I think he's, at this point, he's got to enter the supplemental draft, because there's no way you deem him eligible at this point. Like, this should be as cut and dry as California barbecue is. No chance should he ever be deemed eligible here in college football, be eligible to play for Texas Tech. But the hearing was today. A lot of national reporters were there talking about the hearing. And so we'll see. We'll see what comes to pass with Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby asking for a ruling on that injunction by June the 15th. So it could come earlier, but should not be any later than June 15th. If he is eligible, he'll play for Texas Tech. If he's not eligible, or if he's granted the injunction, he'll play for Texas Tech. If he's not granted the injunction, then I imagine he would enter his name into the NFL supplemental draft. That'll do it for us today on the radio side of things. You just saw him head into the studio there. Mr. Ryan Fowler is coming up from 2 until 6 p.m. At 5:45, though, Catfish 100.1 will have the call of Alabama softball. Gray Robertson, Tom Canterbury with Crimson Tide Sports Network, and first pitch between Alabama and Texas Tech in the semifinals of the Women's College World Series is slated to start at 6 p.m. tonight.
Sticky notes, email alerts, a string around your finger. They're just not big enough. So here's a big reminder from the California Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is over $300 million. Whew. Play now. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player 5.